Here's one that I like, though. Ronda Rousey, minus 600 the favorite. Sarah Kaufman, plus 400 the favorite. Now, if it were any two fighters, or the dog, rather, Sarah Kaufman, plus 400 the dog. If it were any two fighters, and I said, okay, here's one fighter, and she's 5-0, minus 600 the favorite. Here's another fighter, she's 15-1, plus 400 the dog. You would start to wonder, right? You'd say, well, maybe there's a value in that underdog. And I think that there is. Rousey, the champion in Strikeforce, the women's bantamweight champion, coming off a submission win, armbar, first round over Miesha Tate on March 3rd to win that title in her first fight at 135 pounds. Rousey has won all 5 of her fights via submission, all armbars, all in the first round. She made her MMA debut only in March of 2011 and has compiled a 3-0 record in Strikeforce with wins over Julia Budd and Sarah DeLelio. Rousey is a 4th Dan black belt in judo and won a bronze medal in judo in the 2008 Beijing Games for the United States. She's 25 years old from Venice, California. Her opponent, Sarah Kaufman, is coming off a majority decision victory over 12-5 Alexis Davis. That was on that same card on March 3rd, an absolute war in that fight. Kaufman has 0 submission victories, but has 10 of 15 wins via knockout with 5 decisions. She has lost only once in her career, and that was an armbar submission to Marloes Coenen in October 2010 to lose a Strikeforce women's bantamweight title. She's got wins over Shayna Baszler, Liz Carmouche, and Miesha Tate. Kaufman, 26 years old, made her pro debut in 2006. She's riding a 3-fight win streak. She's the former champion, 6-1 in Strikeforce. She's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, trains with Zuzek MMA in Victoria, BC, and Greg Jackson as well in New Mexico. Kaufman is from Victoria, British Columbia. Now, I think Sarah Kaufman has the advantage standing up. I think maybe Ronda Rousey athletically has a slight advantage. I think she's got the advantage when it comes to the ground game. But Sarah Kaufman is super tough and experienced. This is not a jiu-jitsu fight. This is not a judo match. This is an MMA fight. And Sarah Kaufman has the experience in MMA. But is it enough to beat Ronda Rousey? And that's a big question in my mind. I don't know. I really don't know. This is a tough one.
I'm very torn.
On the one hand, I think Sarah has all the experience on her side, and Rousey has never faced a striker like Sarah Kaufman. But just because she's never faced a striker like Sarah Kaufman doesn't mean she can't beat a striker like Sarah Kaufman. But I don't know. This is extremely tough to call, and I'm going to have to, I think, go to my patriotism and stick with the Canadian fighter. I got to stick with my home country. I got to stick with Sarah Kaufman. I think that she's got all the tools to be able to beat Ronda Rousey. She knows what to defend. Defend the armbar. Don't get armbarred. Defend the armbar. Make sure your arms are out of danger. My concern for Sarah Kaufman is that one loss to her record, an armbar submission. She got caught in that fight with Marloes Coenen, and I think she made a big mistake, and she paid for that mistake.
But
I think she got caught. I think she got surprised, and I think she was, not expecting to get caught in that way. But with Ronda Rousey, you know what's coming.
I think her best bet, Sarah, in order to win this bout, she needs to keep this fight standing. If she drops Ronda and Ronda's on her back, don't go down and throw some wild ground and pound punches like she did in the fight with Marloes Coenen. She needs to keep the fight standing. She needs to use her wrestling to keep it standing, the sprawling, judo, defense.
I'd say keep her distance. I'd say keep the distance, work from the outside, pick her apart, and test her chin. Don't get into close quarters with Ronda Rousey where she has the opportunity to do a judo throw on you. Stay on the outside.
She's a bronze medalist.
What?
She's a bronze medalist.
Well, yeah, exactly. You don't want to mix it up with her in that way. I would stay on the outside, work the jab, and don't get into clinching range with Ronda Rousey. You get into clinching range with Ronda Rousey, you're going to wind up on your back, and you're going to wind up armbarred. I think Sarah Kaufman knows that, though. She's a very smart fighter and has maybe the smartest coach in the game in Greg Jackson backing her up and making her game plan. So I'm going to go with Sarah Kaufman. I think Sarah Kaufman will win this fight. I think she's got to test Ronda Rousey's chin. Does Ronda have a chin? We have no idea. This is scheduled for 5 rounds. If it gets out of the first, it's anybody's game.
Kaufman's going to be setting a record.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rousey's never been out of the first round. So if it gets out of the first, who knows? And I think Kaufman will get it out of the first round. I think she will win this fight either via decision or a knockout. But I like Sarah Kaufman to pull off the upset victory over Ronda Rousey. I don't know how many people are picking Sarah Kaufman to win, but I am, and you heard it here. I got the Canadian, Sarah Kaufman. Big Tuna, I'll leave it to you.
I'm extremely torn in this because I think Sarah has the possibility to beat Ronda, but I think Ronda is kind of unstoppable right now. It's very tough. I guess I'm going to be patriotic and go with Kaufman on this because it's extremely difficult for me to make that decision.
Very, very tough. I think there's a lot of hype behind Ronda Rousey, and she's been doing so much media. You know, there's so much media being done for Ronda Rousey. How seriously is she taking this fight? Has the fame got to her head? I think that's going to be a very interesting question going into it. She has blown up since she won the title.
And I think that's fantastic because we need a face MMA, of women's MMA.
I think she's great. I think Ronda Rousey's fantastic. I just think she's been doing a lot of media. And the last fighter I saw do so much media before their fight came in and got destroyed. Talking about Chael Sonnen before the Anderson Silva fight. That guy was everywhere, just like Ronda is, and he got smoked.
Well, what I don't like is that they have a Ronda Rousey All Access. As opposed to just being Ronda Rousey All Access, why isn't it Ronda versus Kaufman 24/7?
Yeah.
Why are you only showcasing one fighter? If she loses, they all look like buffoons.
And we both think that she will lose. We like Sarah Kaufman to become the new and second-time Strikeforce Women's Bantamweight Champion on Saturday night.